Well, good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Tech Talk with Zyxel. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am the North American sales manager and product manager, market development manager here at Zyxel North America. Good to have you. Good to see you. I see you there, Joe. Nice to see you there, Joe. Anybody who is here, welcome to Tech Talk. It's a great time for us to share about what our solutions are in general, and maybe talk about something new. There's always something new that comes in every month. We do this every month. So if you miss something, or maybe some team members haven't been able to attend, you can always have them join up in the coming months. Just by a show of hands real quick, I wanted to see how many of you who are here now are brand new Zyxel partners. Like, you've just signed up and now you're trying to get some more information about our program. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for being a partner and joining us. We always have brand new partners who come up here and join us, and other people who come almost every month just to see if there's anything new, but also get some interaction as well. And I like it to be interactive. So if you have any questions throughout the process, feel free to use the Q&A section to send me any questions, and I'll try to answer them in line as I go through the presentation. We have a lot to cover because Zyxel offers quite a bit. And just in case I am in California and we are being bombarded by, you probably hear it all the time with the atmospheric river. We've been hit every couple days now with torrential rain, mostly up north, but right now it's pretty windy. There's some places in Hollywood that some of our salespeople who have lost power. So hopefully I don't lose any power, because then we won't have any internet, and you know how the world runs on internet, and having that, we might not be able to get back online very easily. I could go to sell, but probably wouldn't be able to, get the presentation working as quickly. So just stick around. Hopefully I can get it going if anything like that happens. But let's go ahead and move forward, and we'll see how far we can go, without having any power issues and such. But it is raining and howling, windy outside, but probably nothing compared to what you folks might see in the Midwest and in the East Coast side. But this is California, so this is for us. A sprinkle is torrential rain for us. But let's go ahead and move forward. A little bit about Zyxel. We are Zyxel Networks, 100 million devices making connections worldwide. We've been in business since 1989, 34 plus years now in the networking industry. 700 employees work at Zyxel Networks worldwide. Over 1 million businesses work smarter with our solutions in 150 different markets. So we are not just this tiny company, just been here. We've been here for a long time, longevity in terms of the product, the quality. You've probably seen or noticed a lot of our products are in kind of the ISP, the telco side of the world. So we have a lot of solutions in play. We're trusted to deliver to millions of customers, millions of end users around the world, through hospitality, through retail, through chains like Subway or Domino's, a lot of those kinds of restaurant stores, as well as business type customers with direct connectivity, anything that connects to an internet connection. We also partner with a lot of different solutions providers on for our products. Companies like Webroot, Norton, Bitdefender, McAfee. We utilize their expertise and integrated those into our products to facilitate a lot of the security functions that you see in our security firewalls, but also partnering with solutions providers like Amazon to make the Amazon cloud connectivity, and with Wirestorm, et cetera, to make a screen connectivity for that, or even with Ekahau on wireless solutions. So a lot of those partnerships come about throughout the years that we've built up relationships. And you have a direct relationship with us as a partner with Zyxel Networks. You might be dealing with any of these 30 folks here now. Already, David Chen manages the Canadian and the East region. Andy manages the Western regions there, including Alaska and Hawaii. Jacob is in the Central region there in those states there. So if you haven't interacted with them, they're here, and we are here to help you with pre-sales questions, post-sales questions, tech support, distribution, stocking, pricing, special pricing, deal registrations, et cetera. Go through them. They are your advocates to making sure that those work through the system, work through the channel as smoothly as possible, and we can get you the assistance and the help that you may need throughout the entire process. So we're here to help. Everything except for technical configuration. These sales guys can do all the other things. But we can bring in the right people, bring in the systems engineers to help you with all of those things. We are solutions driven because of what our clients and what your customers need. And so feedback from you directly from as a partner or from your customers is very valuable to us because we are the R&D. We design hardware, we design the software. So we want to be able to implement different types of solutions, functionalities, things that you come up with in terms of ideas of how to use it. And maybe there's some interoperability with some new product that is out there in the world. We want to know to make sure that we can make our products work better for you from a management standpoint, from a end user functionality endpoint as well. We provide a comprehensive portfolio end to end. So like I said earlier, anything that connects to a network, whether it be wireless, fiber, LTE, anything that connects, we have some sort of solution that will fulfill those networks, probably a lot of times end to end. So we can be the head end with the fiber connectivity. If you want to be a fiber MSP, we can go from fiber to the home, fiber to the business, give you solutions for that at the head end, all the way to the CPE level of things where you have the routers and the modems that are sitting there in that process as well. Or you can terminate to a kind of a demarked Ethernet switch with the fiber uplink, both for 2.5 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig, 1 gig connectivity with and without PoE, wireless now, including Wi-Fi 6E, security appliances that do full featured security with UTM performance, UTM security functionalities, sandboxing, content filtering, antivirus malware, all of that, all encompassed in that. And then hotspot functionalities as well. So if you're looking at putting out a wireless deployment in a hospitality or in a multi-tenant unit or even outdoor environments, we can provide you that solution through the wireless, through gateways, through the cloud to manage all that. And we have a very flexible management solution, both in a standalone mode and also within the Nebula cloud platform. And that's where my biggest focus will be, is on the Nebula side, because Nebula for us has been a very, great, not only a selling tool and a loyalty tool, but also from a partner's perspective, a management tool and a way to provide a single pane of glass and provide, connectivity and management that's scalable and manageable within this cloud platform. So we call it Nebula, Nebula Control Center, and it's powerful, it's effortless, and it's scaled to how you need it, whether you have just a single customer, or multiple customers, or maybe customers that are more sophisticated that have multiple sites, like let's say a restaurant chain. You can have an organization that has multiple sites that you can manage, and you're able to manage not just a single device, but you can manage the security, the switching network, and the wireless. So the entire stack of networking can be deployed and managed in the central platform, Zyxel Nebula. And you can configure that. You can deploy networks without even unboxing the devices. And we'll talk about how you can do that. There's no additional software or hardware required additionally to the unit itself. The unit itself is built with the agents that communicate to the cloud within itself. So you don't need an extra cloud key. You don't need additional servers or a laptop or any kind of computer hardware within that network. You can, the beauty of it is that you can use 1, 2, or 3 different types of products. You can have just a switch in that network that's managed by Nebula, or some people will just use just our access points in that and be manageable in Nebula. But the power comes in when you have the entire network with switches, gateways, and access points doing things together to make a cohesive solution to manage the entire stack. You can configure and monitor it with any browser. So anywhere you have connectivity and an internet browser, you can access all of that information and to configure it without that hassle. And you can get these things going in just a matter of minutes. Literally, you can scan the QR codes on the box. You can load it into your account, assign it to a particular customer. If that customer is already cookie cuttered or maybe pre-configured, it just has to sit there and wait for it to call home and get internet connectivity. Once it calls home, it has internet access from the inside out. So you don't have to open any special ports or anything like that. You'll be able to get connectivity. It will download its configuration file and its new firmware or its current firmware in order to launch. So just a matter of few minutes, and all of those sites can go up. Now, just imagine deploying, how many of you deployed more than one access point? it's very likely that you've been deploying 5, 10, maybe larger deployments, 50 or 100 even access points into a hospitality. Then you're wanting to deploy all that very easily, very quickly. With Nebula, it's as quick as powering up those devices with your PoE switch. All of that gets called home, finds out who it is, who it belongs to, downloads all those configurations, downloads all of its identity, and goes online. So it happens very quickly, very easily in deployment. And even from a staging perspective, I see some of our partners using Nebula to pre-stage a customer. So you can literally go, okay, I'm going to unbox these. I'm just going to make sure everything is working before I ship it off to the customer. I put it in my lab, I plug it all in, make sure it downloads all its configuration files, et cetera, and it's ready to go. Then you basically package all that back up, go to the install site, and just have the technician, who doesn't necessarily need to have, a certification or networking like certification. As long as they can plug things in, your techs back at the NOC can do a lot of the troubleshooting, a lot of the information collection once that's dialed home. And because you have access anywhere, anytime, so your technician could be in the office, he could be working remote at home. As long as there is that connectivity, as long as there's that browser, they're able to access that Nebula control center anytime, anywhere they have internet connectivity. So really, that's a great value, great way to deploy solutions out there and be able to touch maybe areas that you might not have direct access to. So let's say you have some customers who may have some buildings, some deployments that are a little bit away. It's not as convenient to drive there. You can send an install kit, have somebody who's more on the local side there do that plug in install. And once it's called home, then you have connectivity to do all the configurations that you need. Or it will just automatically download the configuration for that customer once it gets internet connectivity. So a lot of that can be played in there. We have a lot of partners and solutions who have moved towards this Nebula platform because of that ease of use. And it adds a lot of tools that typically from an MSP perspective, you had to build yourself. Network clarity, information about what's going on in that network is very important. For me, coming from the technical side, from the networking side, I always have some sort of way to get into it. You want to build a VPN, right? You want to build something that's secure so you can get into the network to do troubleshooting, to have access so you can see what's going on with that network. No longer do you need to do that because all of that information now is provided within the device itself and communicating that back to home. So all of that information, all the individual sites, you have information on users, their utilization, bandwidth utilization, and be able to use that information to manage maybe the IT resources that are there, or maybe to help to troubleshoot Wi-Fi, maybe signal strength issues that the customer might be having on a proactive state as well. So being able to know when an access point might have gone down and you have poor coverage in an area, that would be alerted and alarm to you, and you'd be able to act upon it before the customer would even know. So that helps to reduce those IT costs, helps for you to be the managed service provider and provide that kind of solution if that's your business model. So there's a lot of tools that come with it, a lot of loop line testing that's capable within the Nebula platform once you're using our products, as well as other features that could be added on, just like guest access, guest network access, hospitality. We've all gone to a hotel, coffee shop, and you log into their SSID, you log into their Wi-Fi, and you're hit with a splash page. We have that guest network splash page built within Nebula. So as long as you're using our gateways or our access points, you have access to that kind of that ability to do a captive portal, do device management and user management and control of a guest network, and be able to segregate that auto guest protection with guest isolation from any other network. So they can isolate from each other and also isolate from your private networks. So you can have maybe a coffee shop as an add-on. They have their private network for all their POS systems. They have for their private connectivity. And then also they have a public guest network on that as well. And that could be all segregated and managed within the Nebula platform, from our gateways to our switches to our access points, making sure that the entire line there, the entire path that a guest takes cannot interface with those private or those POS systems. So that's something that is like a great value add on to the the ability to control that within the Nebula. And any updates. How many of you have gone through a new firmware update? You have hundreds of customers, you have hundreds of devices that have to then go through some sort of upgrade path, right? You have to either put in new firmware, you either have to go through some maybe configuration changes, And if you have maybe clients that go, hey, we have some new VPN customers who are there, we want to make sure that they can access all of that. Um, you're having to push configurations to each one of those devices to make sure that it's working correctly. But here you can actually do and schedule over air changes, firmware updates, and automate all of that depending on each site's requirements and each customer's requirements and how you want to manage that. So it makes it very convenient for you to upgrade. The device itself within the Nebula platform will all automatically, if you don't change it, will just automatically go to the newest firmware that's available. But of course, we know that you, as technical people, may want to just be more in control of that. So you can schedule the time of day that it's being done, or maybe even to prevent maybe downtime. You could have half of them be upgraded and the other half of those access points upgrade at a different time. So there is still coverage within that time frame, so that there isn't any kind of immediate downtime for any extended period of time. It's built in with user management as well. So if you want to do two-factor authentication, WPA authentication to connect even to the Wi-Fi, you can control and manage that all within this cloud platform. So it becomes your Radius server. It does all of that functionality within this cloud for these devices that are there. So that's another integration that's there. So whether you're at home or in the office, you're just finding ways to connect, either via VPN, L2TP. Maybe you're doing site-to-site connectivities with a hub and spoke connections for VPN with using IPsec. And then also we have what we call remote access as well, remote AP security, remote security access, secure Wi-Fi access to the offices as well, using an AP that's dropped into place. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. And it's all using our award-winning cloud networking platform, our centralized cloud networking platform, our Nebula, NCC basically is what it's called. And it gives you a full dashboard, single pane of glass, and customizable dashboards per your customers, per your site, so that you can see, let's see, what websites people are going to, how much bandwidth they're using, and then be able to drill in on the clients and then see, what kind of Wi-Fi signal they have. A lot of powerful tools, and there's a lot of things that you might want to just again check to see if you have been using it in a certain way, or there's a lot of new things that are there and maybe you haven't thought of it. So maybe some of this information will help. Or as you're diving into the Nebula platform, there's a lot of different functions and features that are there. You might be interested in finding out, how can I utilize these, or am I utilizing this to the best that the platform offers, so that we can maximize what we're offering to our customers and the visibility and the security of the entire system. You get notifications, app notifications within that as well. So times things go down or whatever you flagged to have some sort of a notification, then it will send you this notification. So that's very helpful in keeping up to date. Again, for you to know when something is down before your customers probably even realize that it's down. And now Nebula is supporting over 80 devices within the platform. And we continue, all the new products that have come there that are manageable, managed products are all going into Nebula. We see the power of the cloud. We have over 250,000 devices in the Nebula cloud platform today, and it's hosted at Amazon. So it's mirrored and hosted within the Amazon platform around the world to manage all of these devices and systems out there. So again, it gives you a lot of visibility, gives you a lot of power, a lot of product, and a lot of different solutions that you can deploy from a switch, gateway, and access point. So the entire product lines that are there, you can find out at Zyxel.com/Nebula. And we offer kind of two flavors of Nebula, like out of the box experience for the product. If you see a product in our price sheet or online that says like Nebula Flex, that means the product is capable, has the option to be part of Nebula. So usually it's a standalone web managed type GUI interface, and you can choose upon install whether you want it within the Nebula cloud or you want to just manage it within a standalone within the GUI itself. So that's pretty easy. And all it requires is either a license to go to a higher tier, or you can put it within a free Nebula platform, which is the base platform. Nebula Pro products, when it says Nebula Pro, typically we will also denote that it comes with 1 year of professional pack included. This helps your customer, or helps you when you're buying a product and you want it to be part of Nebula. It comes with a license included. When you activate it, it already will have that licensing available within that cloud. And you don't have to worry about buying any additional licenses to get that Nebula product to be used. And I did mention just a moment ago that there is a free option. So to compete against some of the lower end clouds that are out there, we do offer a base tier pack that all of our Nebula Flex or Nebula, even our Nebula Pro products can fulfill in that base pack. It's simple, it's powerful, it gives you manageability, gives you 7 days worth of logs in the cloud. But most of our partners, MSPs, because the price is so insignificant, or it's part of this managed services that they're charging to their customer, that they always move to the Pro pack itself. We do have a plus pack that's kind of an in-betweener price. So you have your free, you have a plus pack that's probably around, I think it's like $12 or $15 or something like that per year. Or you go to the Pro pack, street price is around $30 a year. That's $2.50 per device per month. So that's the street price, and that's not including your partner discounts or any kind of other discounts that are available to this Nebula Cloud platform. So if you think about it, if you were deploying a doctor's office, a gateway, a switch, and an access point, and just for the Nebula Cloud piece of that, those three would cost $7.50 to the customer in terms of cost. You can charge them $7.50, or you can roll that within your managed solution, and you call that now your MSP, your managed security services, that you can then charge, X number of dollars per month. And now you're on your way to providing managed services. Now, the base pack and the free pack is still very powerful. And we always tell customers that it's free for the partner, but doesn't mean that that necessarily you could just say, well, it's free to the end user. You could still charge a nominal, I don't know, $10 a month or so for you to have this managed capability. And it gives you access to their network from a visibility standpoint. And maybe from there, you can also upsell to other services that they may be interested in that. But you'll have access to be able to see when things are up and down. You have your 7 days of logs to troubleshoot. You have that direct remote access in there without having to tell the customer, can you, fire up a computer? Can you turn on TeamViewer? Can you log into this site so I have access into your network? Or you have to build a VPN tunnel and you have to place another box there, make sure that has a tunnel capable back to your NOC, right? There's a lot of those things that you no longer have to worry about with this base and free pack. And a lot of our customers are finding that base pack is very powerful, but they will use that to start and realize that in order to get a lot of these cool features and things that make it a lot easier for MSPs, the Pro Pack comes into play. Pro Pack, one of the major features that it does unlock is the cloning of sites. So you can create cookie cutter sites. Like I mentioned, a doctor's office, you can create a switch, a gateway, and access point profile, a configuration that then you can duplicate and copy over to a new customer that you've signed up, change the SSIDs, change some of the other more specific, IP addressing or things like that, or their SSIDs that they request or require. Now all of a sudden you have this new profile for that new customer. Scan in 3 new devices, add it to that profile. Once it goes online, it's going to download that configuration, download those firmwares. Now all it needs to be done is go online. And so once it goes online, it gets all that configuration. So it makes it very easy for you to deploy your new customers and be able to create these kinds of templates and management. The MSP pack is for, I would say, if you have enough customers that might have, let's say, a need for 5 or more organizations. And an organization is like customers, or maybe around the 10 mark becomes really valuable. The MSP is a yearly subscription that unlocks for MSPs that allow for you as a managed service provider to give more granular notifications and access for your admins to the different sites or to the different customers. Maybe you might have regions, like you might have, like us, like a West, Central, and East side. And we want to have certain techs are managing those certain regions or those specific customers and do not have access to the other customers, right? You may have that within your environment and your customer or base plus your employee base to just kind of mitigate, security or whatever it may be, right? You might have some people who are part of a 24/7, customer base that those customers get notified, or those employees get notified via that. right? So it gives you that granularity, gives you that split with the notifications and cross-platform management or cross-organizational management, even kind of moving customers from one organization to another and such. So there's a lot of that comes into play. So we have a lot of partners who will move to that as they get bigger and find a bigger use for that kind of MSP pack. So that was kind of Nebula in general, some of the platform. And I encourage you to go to nebula.zyxel.com. That's pretty straightforward there. There allows for you to choose to log into a demo site. You can log into that demo site, get a feel of what's going on. But ultimately, we want you to be able to maybe get some of these units into your hands. So we do have an NFR program that you can buy through distribution, the units that you want to test at NFR pricing. So they're not for resale, but you can put it in yourself, use it in your lab, use it in your office, and get a feel of how that works from a management, from a troubleshooting standpoint, visibility standpoint, security standpoint, all of that, and be able to know how to manage a customer and provide these kinds of services to them. And we continue to add firmware updates and feature functions. And again, your feedback helps as well in usability and also features that you require for different applications. So now I'm going to talk about more on specifically the technologies, the hardware itself, and the technologies that are backing up those hardwares to making all of this work within that Nebula platform. So this is where a lot of our expertise comes into play as well. We are a hardware manufacturer of networking equipment, gateways, access points, switches. So we're going to start with Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is kind of, everybody thinks it's easy. Of course, it is easy. The problem is you can't see it. And when you can't see it, it's very difficult to troubleshoot, difficult to know what's going on. But we like to pitch what is unique within our technology, what Zyxel has to offer. And Zyxel offers an award-winning wireless technology called Smart Antenna. It's a patented technology. And let's tell you about why or what's important about or why we like Smart Antenna. So you've all dealt with Wi-Fi deployments today. How many of you have deployed Wi-Fi? I mean, I think that's kind of I think everybody's hands will go up, at that point. Everybody's deployed Wi-Fi at some point for a customer, for your house, right? Everything is kind of fed by Wi-Fi. And there's a lot of pain points. You've added additional access points. You put more APs there, or you've changed technologies. You've tried to find ways to make it better. But in some cases, even adding those additional access points or changing the technology doesn't do anything different. Why is that? There are a lot of those symptoms. People feel like there's something, why do these issues happen? All right, maybe you can, I don't know if you can hear it, but now my window is getting pounded by a lot of rain hitting it, but it sounds fun, but hopefully you won't hear that. So why do these issues happen? It's something what we call co-channel interference. It's like everybody talking at the same time. How many of you got into an area or even at your house, you can turn on your Wi-Fi today and you'll find like 20 different access points, not even in your house, or it's all your neighbors, or everybody is trying to yell and scream like, here I am, and you have some Wi-Fi communication. That's co-channel interference. There are only limited channels within the Wi-Fi spectrum that can send communication, can speak, can send traffic. And as we are increasing the bandwidth in the technology, we're utilizing bigger chunks. So it's kind of like everybody was just talking to each other, and I walked into the room and I had a bigger access point with a megaphone, and I'm just using a megaphone and using all of that sound bandwidth, right? Nobody else, everybody's talking to themselves, can't hear a thing. Or when you go to a concert, right? Or when you're at a club or whatever it is, and the music is blasting, you can't compete against that. You're trying to talk to somebody, but they can't understand you right next to you. That's co-channel interference, all the stuff that's happening around you that's interfering with that Wi-Fi communication. So an example of co-channel interference in maybe a kind of an office, it could be caused by APs, could be caused by what we find out even, like LTE expanders or cellular connected to the Wi-Fi signal to boost, or cellular boosting as well can cause interference within the Wi-Fi network. We see as well. So 2 access points, causing interference with each other. So common method of solving that is to turn down the power of the access points so that they don't speak so loudly. But the problem is then you start getting some dead areas, dead spots in between those access points. And that could lower, connectivity, lower throughput because of the channels that are being used. So we have still co-channel interference. Smart Antenna, what it does is it increases capacity, increases coverage, reduces interference using Smart Antenna. Again, it's a patented application for this technology. So how does the smart antenna work? So kind of in the same example, in a a non-smart antenna scenario, you can have, let's say, some sort of interference. In this case, it's like a microwave, and it could cause some interference to the clients that are in that space. Now, with the smart antenna in that same environment, what it does is the antenna will automatically look and scan 700 different patterns or so uh, of maybe the signal on how it communicates with the client. And it's able to listen better to the client while it also speaks better to the client as well. So it reduces noise and interference around it while it's focused on that. And it does it digitally and does it dynamically in a different shape, even as the client moves around. So we can optimize that. So that's kind of the benefit of it. And it helps to provide you the better customer experience, better coverage overall. So we would love for you to use smart antenna. Of course, sometimes that's cost prohibitive because of, the costs of that technology and, budgets and such. So we always offer, kind of the step down versions of that as well. So we have dual optimized antenna to help mitigate more of that. But when you have a scenario where there's a lot of people, a lot of concentration, a lot of noise, like smart classrooms or convention centers or hospitality that needs to pass through a lot of interfering walls, et cetera, smart antenna is the way to go to mitigate all of that. And it can solve a lot of headaches, a lot of problems that you hit within those kinds of environments. But if you have a more clean environment and more controlled on the signal and whatever is happening around it, then you can move to the other technologies, the more traditional type Wi-Fi antennas, omnidirectional type, to make those connections at a budget cost, right? So you can make these good, better, best options to that. We offer a single-click wireless mesh capable too within the Nebula. So because it does get the configuration within the cloud, so as long as it has internet connectivity initially, it can download its mesh information so that when it's in that mesh environment, maybe it doesn't have a direct wired connection, it could then still have that identity already to make that wireless bridge connectivity. So you can extend Wi-Fi to other areas and locations fairly simple, as long as you plugged it in first on the network, then moved it to the coverage area that you needed the extension, then it will have that identity. So we're able to do that within the Nebula platform. And then we provide enterprise class standards, WPA2, WPA3 enterprise security with 802.1x authentication, all of that, and roaming technologies, all of the standards that are there in the industry for roaming is available within these wireless solutions as well. So we really focus on business class technology, business class type products that compete and rival against all the top tier wireless manufacturers out there. Stronger, smarter onboarding with dynamic pre-shared key. It allows for you to put applications using the same SSID, be able to use a different passphrase or pass key, gives you an entirely different network connectivity or connection access. So let's say you can have, this is very powerful. Let's say if you're deploying a multi-tenant unit building, or maybe a lease rental type where you have office space that's getting rented to different companies, but you want to provide a Wi-Fi network, within that kind of space, then they, depending on their dynamic pre-shared key that they use, they can connect to the same SSID within the same building, but be on an entirely different network than anybody else. So that's really cool for that kind of application if you're deploying it, or even in a resort type application where you want family entities to be able to move within the entire facility and have access to home type functions, within the community. So they have their own private network. It's almost like the entire resort, the Wi-Fi that they're connected to, they're in their own family SSID, like their own custom one based on that pre-shared key. So it's really nice to do that and be able to deploy even for IoT devices. So based on the passphrase, it can automatically be put into a new VLAN, or maybe even VoIP products that are Wi-Fi VoIP that connects to it automatically gets put into a voice VLAN based on that pre-shared key as well. So you can do that. AI machine learning for the wireless side. So we can help to make sure that your bandwidth, your channelization utilization, the customer's band is also load balanced. So people who are on 2.4 that should be and could be working better on a 5 gigahertz. So we can move them between them, make sure that they are connected to the best network, optimized network for them wherever they are at. and be able to move them based on their connectivity or even their wireless strength. So imagine walking from one AP to another. A lot of times the client holds on to that and doesn't release from the old access point. Even if they're staying under a new access point, we're able to set thresholds to kick them from the old so that they can reconnect and associate to the new on that roam. So there's those kinds of applications that you can implement. And we trust our products. We design the RF, we design the hardware and the software. So we maximize and optimize it for that. So we can back it with our lifetime warranty on our products. All of the shieldings, if you've ever taken apart, or if you ever needed to take apart or ever wanted to see inside, all of the shielding that we have from the radios for the antennas, et cetera, you could really tell by just picking it up. You can see that it has real substance to it because we are trying to protect the device itself from any kind of extra interference that might be around to ensure that it's working well and it's providing you the best coverage possible that we have. We have new technologies out there. We've been dealing with Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 5, moving from AC now to Wi-Fi 6 with AX. And that's really the big focus that people are moving forward to because of the higher capacities, multiple band connectivities, and potentially 10 gig Wi-Fi throughput of overall throughput of the device. So you have multi-WAN or multi-gig connectivities, but that also requires a new system of switches and also PoE, new systems as PoE that can feed the beast and feed these power hungry devices that are having three radios like in their system. So to be able to power up all of those. We have kind of three ranges of products throughout all of our product lines. We call it simplicity, flexibility, and ultimate. Ultimate is our flagship type products. Flexibility is where most of our customers sit and kind of our best sellers are in that flexibility, just because it's a balance between both technology and cost and budget. So on the kind of the lower end, the value products is our NWA series. These are our AX and AXE bridges for indoor and outdoor. Our 100 series and 200 series NWAs, those are kind of more of your still budget. These are good APs. The 210AX has a 2.5 gig multi-gig port on it, so it can uplink that because of the throughput that it's capable of. It's a AX3000, so it's capable of up to 3 gigs of data, theoretical data overall. So it has a 2.5 gig and a 1 gig port. And some of these also will have a kind of a pass-through port. So any leftover PoE that is being injected into the device can pass through another port and provide power to another device. Maybe it's a voice over IP phone, something small, a VoIP phone, or maybe like a simple IP camera or something like that, or maybe an IoT device. So we can PoE those as well. And all of these business class products are part of our lifetime warranty. So this is kind of a quick snapshot of all the kind of different feature sets, the load balancing, the isolation capable, the captive portal functionalities that are available within these higher end tier models. And then we have our more, I would say, business hospitality type deployment products. These are our Pro series. So the WAX 500, the 510, the 610, the 630S. The Ds just stand for kind of a dual optimized antenna, meaning that it can be mounted on a wall or on a ceiling. You could change the way that the antenna signal comes out of the device. Anything that ends with an S, like our 630S, that stands for smart antenna. So that's part of that smart antenna technology that we talked about. So that's where we want you to be when you're having maybe difficult Wi-Fi deployments. Those are the S series is what you want to do, want to use it for. And we do want to push you towards the Nebula Pro side of it, because it does give you that option to manage everything and access points, whether you deploy 50 or 100 access points all at once. It makes it a lot easier, a lot quicker to deploy. You could deploy it as fast as you could plug them in, basically. So the 650S is our flagship model. That's our highest available for our WAX series. Our Wi-Fi 6, it's capable of 3.55 gigs. As a 5 gig multi-gig uplink as well, but it does require then, because of the radio size, the 4x4, the dual 4x4s, it's going to need 33 watts of power. So you're going to need the new 802.3 BT standard with a 60 watt PoE injection, or you can get a PoE injector, or you can get a power plug. I needed to double check, see if this one has a power plug or not. But either way, it's going to need that newer power if you want to ultimately get the full utilization or full power performance of this type of product. Now, it will still work without the full PoE, and some customers are fine with that, but we want to make sure that you're not kind of using it in a lesser state there. Now, we've also launched our new WAX 620D-6E. So this is our new 6E product. It has our 6E Wi-Fi, the 6 gigahertz range there as a separate radio. So you can see it has a 2.4 gigahertz 2x2, and then a radio that allows for you to choose whether you want a 5 gigahertz or a 6 gigahertz range. The benefit of the 6E is that there's not many devices out there from an access point space that can interfere with that 6E side of things. So we can utilize that for your bridging. So a lot of times it's more for mesh state. There's not as many consumer devices that are using 6E yet, but maybe you have some application that needs that higher bandwidth, higher throughput of 6E, and you can utilize that radio itself. So it really depends on your application there, but we've had a bunch that have come in, and I think we've sold out of majority of it, and so it's been in quite high demand. We have some other 6Es that are available coming soon as well, so keep watch for that. Now, if you wanted to get your hands on some 6E product, we are also launching a promo coming soon that's paired with a switch. So if you've never bought or used a Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E product, we are bundling coming in the next few weeks. Once it goes to distribution, we're going to be launching a promo again where when you buy a particular switch, you will get an access point for free. So a certain types of switch will give you a Wi-Fi 6 access point. A different type of switch will give you, when you purchase that, you'll automatically get a Wi-Fi 6E access point. We want you to get these access points, these products into your hands so you can try it, so that you can see how the technology works, so that you can see how the brand works in the configuration within Nebula. Because we know that once you use it, you'll realize that there is something powerful within this, that it can compete against a lot of the other competitors that are out there. And so we've displaced quite a bit, in our customer base who've been using other competitors to buying Zyxel access points through the process. So we're utilizing our switches, which I'm going to talk about real quick here. So just give you an overview. The naming convention is pretty standard to what you see out there within the other competitive models that are out there. ES you don't usually see anymore because that stands for like an Ethernet switch, which is a 10100. GS is typically the name you'll see. It's gigabit switch. MG just stands for like a multi-gig switch. XS is Roman numeral for 10, so it's primarily 10 gig or multi-gig capable switches. XGS, so it's still a gigabit switch at heart, so all of the main ports are gigabit, but it has a 10 gig or has multiple 10 gig uplinks. And then an XMG is coming out that as well this month, and that's kind of a 10 gig with multi-gig uplinks as well, so kind of a mixture there. So you'll see those. And if it ends in HP, it's usually PoE or PoE plus. It's high powered PoE. If it's an EP, it's kind of like an eco power, not an echo power. So it's economical, kind of a lower power budget than your typical, but then it has a cost savings. So those are good for more like VoIP applications that don't have, high bandwidth or high budgets for PoE required to activate a lot of these desktop phones, etc. If it comes with FP, you'll see in the future, that's going to be like a even higher end PoE. So it has a bigger power budget. It's going to be called FP. And if it ends in just an F, then it's a fiber switch. So all the main ports are fiber transceiver slots that you could put transceivers in to provide fiber to to your application. It could be either an access concentrator, or maybe it's fiber direct to the customer or to the rooms or to the buildings, etc. SFP and SFP plus ports. So SFP is gigabit fiber ports. SFP plus is 10 gig fiber ports. And those just require the transceivers that go into it, the appropriate links and distances to make that connectivity work. So it depends on the fiber that you have. So the big application with switches is PoE. And I think switches do get kind of a bad rap in the sense, or maybe it's behind the scenes compared to what Wi-Fi does. Wi-Fi is the frontline technology that everybody connects to, but you have to make sure that your network underneath the switch network that powers those APs are, are also taken care of, both from a security level, from a PoE standpoint, from a power budget, from a quality standpoint, to make sure that if that switch network goes down, your Wi-Fi and every other application that's there is going to go down as well. So we want to make sure that that's always available, high available, but also provide you the best security and technologies are there. So we offer different types of PoE. 15.4 watts is kind of out there. Most of our switches now are all 30 watt capable. So it's all PoE plus. And then more and more of the newer products are coming out with PoE plus plus. So it's the 60 watt 802.3bt connectivity when you're using the appropriate Ethernet cables as well to get that distance and get the power to provide for these kind of applications. So there's a lot of this new cycle of new technology access points is requiring you to also consider now refreshing the switching network. Very much like when a lot of these APs were coming out and we started to move from 15.4 watt to 30 watt, right? You couldn't just use those old technology switches anymore. You had to kind of upgrade and go through an upgrade refresh cycle. So it's been about 5 or so years, maybe even 10 years now since we've had the 30 watt. And so now moving to 60 watt is kind of the new trend that you have to watch out for. And as more and more devices are coming out that will require the 60 watt, you'll see more and more of these switches. Right now, you'll find kind of a hybrid switch because the power supply on these switches are very costly. You typically don't have a switch that just has 60 watt power for all 24 or 48 watt 48 ports. Typically, it's like most of them are 30 watts, and then there's like either half or a handful of them that can do the 60 watt application. Either that or you just buy injectors for those particular access points for those applications if you need the full 60 watt. So there's kind of that balance between those two types of networks. And the switch itself has a lot of features. VLAN, that's the most popular one. VLAN, bandwidth control, all of that is managed within our products. Auto detect and recover connected PoE devices. So being able to power cycle automatically or recover things based on maybe traffic or information that's there, being able to also power cycle devices instead of sending somebody out there to physically power on and off. That's the number one tech support, call solution, right? Is like, can you reboot the firewall? Can you reboot the device? Can you reboot your computer, right? Everybody does a power cycle to try to refresh things out. And you can do that within this PoE. So any cameras that you have connected, VoIP phones, wireless access points that might be having trouble, you can try to do this power cycle through the web, through the GUI, and through that Nebula platform, all there. Intelligent PoE is what we've integrated within our products and our switches that help us to differentiate and utilize and maximize the power budgets that are there. So even if we have 380 watts of power, we're able to maximize all the ports because the draw that the device itself is utilizing is what is going to be going against the power budget rather than the classification. So instead of 15 or 30 watts being reserved into the budget, if the device only uses 7, like a VoIP phone, rather than it reserving 30, it only reserves 7. So you can have all that extra 23 other watts to use for other devices that are in that network. So that's what intelligent PoE is there. CCTV, IPTV applications for reporting, all the broadcast information, reporting, all of that is there. And it can also do machine learning to understand how maybe there are broadcasting issues, maybe blocking, and then be able to help you mitigate that as well within the Nebula cloud. So again, that's a part of the power of having this AI capable cloud to analyze this information on the fly and be able to make educated, provide you with education, provide you with information to make these decisions or help you make decisions automatically. It can visualize the network for you as well. So it can give you what's information on what's connected to what. It can provide you the virtual stacking information, the port connectivity information, real-time PoE utilization on there, be able to do diagnostics, remote cable and fiber testing directly on the switch through the Nebula platform as well. So a lot of these cool things that you typically wouldn't have access to unless you brought somebody there or a device there, laptop, did a connection to that loaded up an application that did that kind of testing for you. So this allows for you to do a lot of the initial and probably a lot of the troubleshooting, solving, from the comfort of your office or your home. Network reliance, security, being able to add backups of the switch configurations, or it's auto backed up to scheduled backups, so that if you do have a break fix scenario, you can quickly install a new switch and it can automatically get the same identity that previous switch was. Be able to add port security, which is very important, so that people can't just plug in routers and such that are unknown within that network to a particular open port, and gain access to the network, or even be able to block DHCP. So DHCP guard, so people can't put a router on there accidentally and mess up the entire network, because no one can get DHCP from the actual source. And so that provides a full level of security, network reliability, also allowing for you to do link aggregation, so you can have bigger pipes, making these connectivities between all these solutions. You can automate, deploy these configurations, like I mentioned before, with the cookie cutters, the templates. You can synchronize it, all of that. So again, simplicity, flexibility, ultimate. Most of our customers are in that flexibility state or space, which is our 1920 series, our web managed or Nebula Flex. Our XGS has 10 gig on it. Our XS 1930s have their multi-gig capable switches. And then our fully layer 2 managed pro switches is our GS 2200, our XGS or XS 3800 switches. And then some of our newer switches. Oh, don't forget, we have our PoE injectors. We have a 5 gig 60 watt PoE injector and a 2.5 gig 30 watt injector that we sell today. So if you're just needing power and data on an injector for, let's say, an access point or some other applications, those are great for that. Our 1915 series is what we just recently launched. It's kind of our cost-effective product that has Nebula access. So it's a Nebula kind of light, but it gives you PoE, gives you a power budget, but fully manageable, but in the price point, of a kind of a lower end type switch. Our GS 1350 switch is made for IP cameras. It has a lot of IP camera type features, including extended range, so you can extend 10 megs of data plus PoE power for up to 250 meters instead of just 100 meters in normal Ethernet. So it allows for you to do that, and also has continuous PoE power. So if you reboot or you recycle or install a new firmware, etc., the PoE ports will still stay powered while the firmware is getting updated or rebooted, so that the cameras themselves don't have to also go through a power cycle process. The new XMG is launching this month. It's the XMG 1930s. These are multi-gig port capable 2.5 gig, 5 and 10 gig ports also available for uplinks, both on the copper and the fiber side, and PoE power available up to 700 watts of PoE power. So almost twice as much as what we normally have in this kind of size switch, but really going after that application for that Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E application. Now I only have 7 minutes to cover security. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. In general, I just want to make sure you understand security is very important as well. Security, we focused over the last 20 plus years to be certified to interop with other products that are in the market, other competitor vendors that are also ICSA certified as well, for firewall, for VPN, for security, making sure that they can all interop and talk to each other. Things like content filtering, connect to protect, UTM services like content filtering, antivirus, intrusion detection, malware protection, ransomware blocking, all of that available within this platform. So don't go with just something off the shelf that you buy, out the store, that calls itself security, because most likely you're not PCI compliant, you're not HIPAA compliant. You probably have just some port blockings, or it's just a basic SPI firewall. We have packet level scanning capable products, including sandboxing that can help to detect 0-day malware as well. So within our ATP series, or in our gold package of the licensing on our USG Flex series that we just launched. Now the connect and protect, we've also integrated these levels of security, like IP reputation, ransomware, phishing sites, content type filtering within our access points. So even without a gateway, you can still get some level of security protection using just our access points. But pairing that up with our gateways, it provides you a full featured security that constantly evolves so that you don't need to do anything about it. You just make sure that it's configured and that it's enabled, and all of the security updates will happen on its own as you set it. And it's flexible to also then check and secure wireless or the entire network, and even communicate with our access points if there is some sort of breach or some sort of issue with that device, to prevent an outbreak to happen. So we can block against that and be able to isolate those users from the network. And it's, we call it collaborative defense and response. That's available in some of our access points. You'll see it in the data sheets on which models it is that has that kind of protection. So we want to integrate all of that. And that's part of the power of using Zyxel throughout the entire network, is then you can centralize everything. You can provision it. You can synchronize all the policies, especially security policies that happen throughout the entire network, and be able to control people who are connected as a guest, people who are connected just as the VoIP connectivity and the bandwidth control, and maybe the private, utilization within that network as well for your employees, et cetera. And be able to control that, synchronize it across multiple sites. Maybe you have a hospitality or a hotel that it's a chain and they want the same policy throughout all of these owners. The same owner has like 5 hotels. They want the same policies. You can synchronize that so that all of the managers that go from maybe one hotel to another has the same access to any of those hotels, and be able to manage all that. And that's also, especially with people moving, employees coming and going, you're able to implement, security rules and policies and access rules that can be easily disabled once the employee leaves, the company, et cetera. So you can have full control over that. And of course, as in our remote work office kind of environment today, remote workplaces, we simplified it using L2TP connectivity, secure Wi-Fi's with an access point dropped in, 2-factor authentication with VPN, be able to configure all that, be able to manage those customers remote. Now, the remote workplace, the secure Wi-Fi feature is really cool, because if you use an access point, you deploy it into a home network, you're able to deploy it without having to open up any other ports. You don't have to change out, put bridge mode, or build a VPN tunnel. You can drop it in. It will call home back to the office firewall and build an L2 tunnel between them, and function just as if they were sitting in the network at the office. So it allows for you to take a laptop from the office, go home, and have the same work experience and access to the network at the office as if they were sitting there. So just think of it, it's kind of a long Ethernet cable that went from the office all the way through the internet back to your home office in a Wi-Fi format. So it becomes very easy for you to deploy, for the IT to control, or for you as a managed service provider to provide that service and be able to charge people to manage it for them, so they don't have to worry about it. So you can extend that network for them. Seamlessly have information visibility, just like within the Nebula platform for wireless, you have visibility on all of the security things through our secure reporter in Nebula. So you can have access to what threats have been blocked. You can do monthly reports to showcase to your customers what this monthly charge has been helping with, the security functions that's been enabled. So you can show what websites people go to, how much bandwidth they've used, what ransomware, what malware has been blocked, how many, and then put it into a report that you give to your customers with their bill and say, thank you very much. That's why we have this implemented, and why we're the experts in helping to secure your network, right? So it's something that can be shown to your customers to show that value. So again, simplicity, flexibility, ultimate, a lot of these features, and all of our our flexibility and above products, they're all verified. We're in a few vendors out there. I think there's only 7 vendors out there that can connect to the Amazon cloud. They're certified for Amazon cloud and Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure cloud and Amazon cloud. Those, if you have cloud applications that are connecting to that, we have these are the products that you would use to connect there. So USG Flex, one thing I wanted just to tell you, again, this is our flexible model. It's available within the Nebula platform or in standalone, but we are launching. We have already launched and extended our promo. It's a buy 2-year license, get the hardware free. So if you buy the 2-year license of a Nebula Flex 100, you can basically get the hardware for free. So talk to your sales reps to issue a special pricing adjustment within the distributor of your choice, so that you could buy this special promo SKU. So it's usually like USG Flex bundle plus 2Y or something like that is the kind of the model number that you want to look for if you want to get the 100. There's certain models that we have stock of that you can utilize this promo for, but we've extended it through the Q1 promo here. So make sure you get that, take advantage of that. If you have any customers that you're upgrading from the old USGs to the new, or if you have new customers who want to just, jump right on in, or from a MSP standpoint, this gives you a kind of a 2 years worth of license and very low entry point for you to start charging your customers and break even and start making money already, like off the bat. So that's a really good thing to make sure you take advantage of. But this is kind of your full UTM capable platform. It could be just a VPN device, or it can be a full UTM device. So since I'm at the end here, I'm just going to go ahead and skip real quick to the end on just our partner program real quick. Again, like I said, we have a lot that we've covered. We want to make sure that you understand that we are here to help you. We are your networking ally. You are probably sitting either in the silver or gold platform right now. We want you to always be in the gold. The requirement is just 12K per half a year. So that's literally probably like 2 projects in 6 months that you can hit this 12K kind of minimum there. But there's no cost to you. And all it gives you is the best discounts possible and the best access to our program possible, with lead generation, lead referrals, our system engineers, access, etc. We want to be able to provide you the best support as we can and the best discounts possible, so you can make the most margin that you possibly can selling our products. We work through DNH, Ingram Micro, Cynic, TD Cynics, Wave, Target, and Pace as your distributors. So again, reach out to us. You want to connect with us? That's our LinkedIn, Zyxel US dash channel. And on YouTube, you can find this recording and other recordings in the past at Zyxel America channel. And there's a lot of information there on our YouTube channel, a lot of training if you want to do some self-training on different topics and issues, etc. You can also connect with me as well on LinkedIn. I think if you just look up Zyxel Try, and you'll find me there. I don't think we have any questions. We don't have time for questions, but if you'd like to have, or if you do have any questions, please send them to me if you'd like, or to your sales rep. My email is it's TRI at Zyxel.com. You can tell I've been here for a long time because I have just my first name at Zyxel.com, whereas most other people are their first and last name. So that was kind of the early benefit of being part of the company early on. But I thank you for your time. We've gone over 2 minutes, but hopefully you can get those 2 minutes back at lunch or something. I appreciate the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Zyxel partner, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon, or seeing you at a particular event. Oh, I didn't forget to mention, if you are in the Texas area and want to join us for a kind of a meet and greet Top Golf with us and our partner Zoltis, reach out to me or to the sales rep so we can get you signed up. We're in the Dallas area next week. We also have another event that's happening in the LA area in February, and then another one in Chicago area in March. So if you're in any of those kind of areas or nearby to those areas and want to make a trip out to those Top Golfs there, definitely reach out to us, or we will see you at any one of those other shows that are around for ASCII, Next Gen, those kinds of events and trade shows, and we'd love to see you there. So don't feel shy. Feel free to stop on by and say hello. Look forward to seeing you at an event this year. Happy New Year, and stay safe.